Happy holidays! Welcome to Holiday Maker Fest. I am Lynn Lilly from Craft Box Girls, and I'm so excited to be with you here today, teaching you how to make one of my favorite crafts. So earlier this year, I developed a love for turning pieces of foam board into front door hangers. So I always loved those wood die-cut front door hangers, but I didn't have any kind of machine that would cut those, and they're expensive to buy. So I thought, why not do it with foam board? And I even figured out how easy it is to weatherproof it. So today, I'm gonna show you 3 different front door hangers. We're gonna make a Christmas tree, a gingerbread house, and a stack of presents. So as we get started, let me kind of give you a here's what you need in general to make these. So for each one, I created a template for you. We've got a link to where you can download that template plus 9 other front door hanger templates. So I've created a whole bunch for you plus a guide. So you'll be able to download these templates so you can trace them on your piece of foam board. You're also going to need paint. So each one of our projects has some different designs to it, but for our first one, you're gonna need acrylic paint. I've got green, brown, red, silver, and gold, and white. White is important because we're gonna use that to make lighter shades of our green. You're also going to need a decoupage. So I really like the Fast Finish decoupage by Beacon. It gives a really nice shiny coat at the end, goes on clear, dries really quickly. Not to say you can't use another one like a Mod Podge or really any other brand. This one's just my favorite for these front door hangers. I'm also gonna be using glitter. And then probably the most important tool is a really good sharp box cutter. I've gone through a ton of these. I've tried the X-Acto knives. This one is by Scotch. I got it at Michael's. This to me is like the best one ever. It gives you really nice, smooth lines when you're cutting out of your foam board, because foam board is kind of hard to cut. So invest in this and I think it's like $4 or $5. It's super inexpensive. So this is super important. And now, here is really what you need is the template. You're also gonna need some glue. I'm using hot glue today. You can use an industrial glue as well. If your door gets hit by sunlight, use an industrial glue. If not, a hot glue and my handy dandy fancy hot glue gun will work perfectly if it does not get direct sunlight. Okay, so the template. This is important. I did all the hard work for you so you don't have to worry about drawing your shapes. So once you download this template, there are 6 pages to it. You're going to lay out the template. Okay, so I've numbered them. So page number 1 and then 2, and you're gonna line them up and you're going to see that they will form a Christmas tree. So the lines all go together. So in order. And then I've got number 5 and then number 6. My shot is not big enough to see number 6, but it is the end of our tree plus a star in the base of our tree. And so that goes right down there. So then your next step, to make your life easy, use some tape and tape these together, cut them out, and then you can lay it out on your big piece of foam board. So this foam board is a 20 by 30 inch, and it's Elmer's. I really like the Elmer's foam board because it is a matte finish and acrylic paint takes to it really well. Again, you can get these at any of the craft stores, even the office stores have them as well. So cut it out, trace it on here, use your really good box cutter to cut out all the pieces. All right, that is step 1 to getting started with our Christmas tree. So I'm gonna go ahead and collect this guy. And I'm trying to make this as easy for you guys as possible. Part of my goal when I started Craft Box Girls almost 7 years ago was making DIY easy for everyone in the family, from kids to adults. So I like to break down the heart and make it easy. There's no Pinterest fails here. So once you've got your Christmas tree, you see what it looks like, right? So we got really nice smooth lines. And then I also included in that template, obviously your trunk, which we will put on the bottom, as well as the star, which will go on the top. And then I did a circle for you, so you can cut out as many ornaments as you want, and those could be optional. You could decide if you want to add those or not around your tree. I cut out 3, 4, 5, 6. I cut out like 7, 8-ish. So we're gonna get started with the fun part, which is the painting technique. So let's go. In my paint palette, I've got all of my acrylic paints. Any brand will work. I've chosen a really fun bright green for my Christmas tree. So what I'm gonna do is just brush on one coat all over it and cover my entire tree with this color green. And you wanna make sure that you also get the edges. So that's important because you're gonna see those. So get those edges as well. While our tree is drying, also keep an eye on it. You may need to add a little bit of extra paint for a second coat, but for the most part, you should be pretty good with one coat. But while it's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and paint my other pieces of my tree. So my tree trunk, my star, and my ornaments. So my star is going to be gold, and I'm gonna do my tree trunk brown. This is a lighter gold, so I may have to do multiple coats of this. And then I'm gonna make my ornaments red and silver. All right, so I'm putting one last coat of gold, and I'm not doing it super thick because I'm gonna cover it with glitter, and I already did this to my ornaments and loved how my glitter ornaments looked. So I'm gonna cover this guy with glitter, and then I will shake it off, and then I'll eventually seal it with my decoupage. Okay, so now our Christmas tree is pretty much dry. You can do this step even if it's still a little bit tacky. But one of the things that we wanna do is we wanna have some white available. So we're gonna go ahead and make big polka dots all over our tree. But what I love about these signs is if you mix the colors with white, you get a lighter shade, and the shades look really great. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of my white that I have already in my paint palette, and I'm gonna move it into a separate bin because I don't wanna mix all of my white because we're gonna use it for a couple different things. And then since I'm done painting with my green, I'm gonna just dip my white brush in there, and I'm gonna mix that until I get a lighter shade of green. And if you're not sure about it, I've got craft paper down on my table, so I'm just gonna paint these two right next to each other to make sure that I like the difference in the shades, and I do. This is very much like a winter green. Now you can also go darker, so you could add a little bit of black if you wanted to get a darker color green and kind of do the opposite. Instead of going a shade lighter, you could go a shade darker. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint polka dots all over my tree. And when I paint my polka dots, to get the outside of my polka dot, I do basically one half circle and then meet it with another one, and then kind of use my brush to fill in the center and then even out the circle. While my tree's drying, I'm also gonna do the same thing with my ornaments. I'm gonna add in some designs on my red ornaments by taking some of my white paint and mixing it in with my red. I'm done with my red over here, so I can just add my white paint to it to get a slightly lighter shade. I don't wanna go too pink, but again, you can always test it on your craft paper that's on your table first. All right, now that I finished adding all the accents to my other pieces, my ornament, my trunk, for my trunk I just mixed a little white in with my brown to get that lighter color. Now I am gonna use my Tulip Dimensional paint, really puffy paint, right? That's what we all called it when we were kids. And I am going to create string lights, because every tree needs lights, right? And mine are going to be colored. And I'm gonna do a thin line to create the wire. And then I'm just gonna move down throughout my tree and add a few more wires before I do my lights. Now, being careful not to smudge the black, I am going to alternate different fun colors. You can make your Christmas lights whatever color you want. And I'm gonna make the bulbs by just doing outlines. All right, our puffy paint is still wet, and yes, I know my crafting table looks like a hot mess. I'm a messy crafter for sure. But now what we're going to do is we're gonna glue on all of our accessories, but we're gonna be careful because our puffy paint is still wet. I want to get everything on so it kind of dries cohesively before we put our decoupage on. So I'm using hot glue, but if you have a door that is in the sunlight, direct sunlight, do not use hot glue, use an industrial glue. So I'm gonna glue my trunk on, and I just put a little glue right there on the edge, and just popping it up a little bit and holding it in place for a second. And then next, I'm gonna pull this down a smidge, and we've got our fun glittery star. You can shake off any excess glitter. We'll seal that then with our decoupage, but that's gonna go on top. And then next, I'm gonna lay out my ornaments before I glue them. So I kind of want my ornaments to be off to the edges and on the sides. So I'm gonna lay these guys all out. And remember, be careful of your puffy paint before I glue them down. All right, I've got my ornaments in place. I decided that I'm not gonna use 2 of them, so I'm gonna save those for another project, but I'm gonna glue them right on the sides here. So just a little bit of glue will work. Now that everything is glued on, all I've got to do is wait for it to dry. So the puffy paint can take up to a few hours to actually fully dry. Once it is dry, I'm going to then put on my coat of decoupage and add the string that I'm going to use to hang it. So while it's drying, we're going to get started on number 2, which is a gingerbread house hanger. All right, project number 2, guys, we are making a gingerbread house. So just like our first one, our Christmas tree, I created a template for you. I've got it laid out here. It is 6 sheets of paper. So lay it out according to the numbers that you see and use some tape to tape it together, cut it out, and this will fit on your large size foam board piece, and you can trace it. And remember, use that really good box cutter to cut it out so you get those nice smooth edges. And this is the Scotch one. Get it at Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, any of the craft stores will have it. All right, so once we've got our template cut out and cut on our foam, the pieces will look like this. So you'll see all the separate pieces. You'll notice that I cut the roof apart from the house. I do that because I like to add dimension versus just having the roof flush with the house. I can literally glue it up a little bit on the lip, and then I can also put my chimney right behind there as well. So it just adds a little bit more to the design. All right, we're gonna start with our paint. So I've got a variety of my acrylic paint colors here, but every gingerbread house is that tannish brown color that you see here. So I've got one there, and I'm gonna mix in just a little bit of white so that it's a smidge lighter. I'm gonna paint my house tan, and then I'm also going to paint my roof black to get started. While the house and the roof are drying, I'm gonna paint my mini gingerbread man, my chimney, and my front door. Okay, while our pieces are drying, we're gonna paint some candy canes. So I've got these 2 posts that I cut out of the template. These are gonna go on either edge of my house, and they're gonna be candy cane sticks. And then I also have 2 candy canes, which are going to be accents. We're gonna paint those red and white. And then I've got a circle, which is going to be a peppermint. So to make my life easier, instead of trying to freehand it, I'm gonna take a pencil and I'm gonna make sure that I've got these guys lined up the right way. So make sure you kind of just measure, because the bottoms are slanted a smidge so that they line up on those angled edges. I'm gonna put them next to each other. And then just to make sure that my candy cane stripes are even, I can either use a ruler or I can eyeball it, but I wanna draw lines that are at an angle. And I'm gonna do the same thing on my smaller candy canes. And then for my peppermint, what I'm going to do, I'm just gonna put a little circle in the center with my pencil. And then I'm just gonna draw and separate out what would be those red and white lines of that peppermint. You know, it's like that after dinner mint. So I'm gonna draw those, and then I'm gonna alternate painting these red and white. Even though my board is white, I still wanna paint it with the acrylic paint so it has the same finish as the red. All of my pieces are painted. Now it's time to have some fun. So I'm gonna add a lighter pattern to my base of my house, and then I'm also gonna do it to my door. And then we're gonna come back with this really cool Testors Craft Dimensional Craft Paste. Okay, I know that was a lot of words, but basically what this is a paste that gives your products texture and it looks like snow. So I'm gonna end up painting this on my roof so it looks like it snowed on the roof of our gingerbread house. All right, so to make the colors, to do the pattern on my door and my house, all I'm going to do is take some white and I'm gonna add it to the existing brown that I already have here, and the same thing with the purple. So I'm gonna add in some white and just make a lighter purple and then make a lighter brown to paint those patterns. All right, so before I add any more painted details or accessories or the snow to the roof, I'm gonna glue my pieces together. So I'm gonna start with my candy canes, and again, I'm using hot glue, but if you have a front door and you're gonna put this outside on your front door that gets a lot of direct sunlight, hot glue may not be the best option for you, so use an industrial glue. But if you are like me and your door is on a porch that is shaded, or you're going to put this inside, you can definitely use hot glue. And I recommend the prettiest glue gun on the market. We'll put a link up to where you can purchase my glue gun if you are interested in getting it, or you may already have it. Okay, so now next we are going to glue on the roof. And remember, the roof is gonna overlap, so we're gonna put it over the candy canes. So really, we need to make sure that we get glue at the end of the candy canes and the tip of the roof. Our house is starting to come together. All right, we're gonna add our peppermint and our candy canes. Next, I'm gonna glue my chimney on. Remember, we're gonna glue that in between this little ledge of the roof. So a little glue right on the top, bottom of here. All right, so we are getting there. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my dimensional craft paste. I'm gonna add some snow to the roof, and then I'm gonna have fun with some puffy paint, and we're gonna add a little glitter and start the decorations. So our crafting paste almost reminds me of like that marshmallow whip that you can get at the grocery store. So grab a popsicle stick, or if you've got a crafting knife, that will work as well. We're gonna pull some out, but I want to test it on the side so I can get an idea just by dabbing up and down what kind of snowy peaks I will get. So always test it off of your project before you get started. So what I'm going to do is just take my popsicle stick and I'm gonna lightly dab it to add some snow on my roof. And then I'm gonna sprinkle in some white glitter to make it sparkle. All right, I've also got some puffy paint. I'm gonna use that to accent my pieces, and then I'm gonna add a few extra things. So I'm gonna use my black to make a window on the door and a door handle. I'm gonna finish off my design by adding a few accessories. So I've got some buttons laid out here that I'm gonna add. I also took some pipe cleaners and curled some white ones, and these are gonna be the smoke out of my chimney. And then I'm gonna do a trim around the door with my silver sparkly ones. Okay, now that I've made a complete mess, we have one more thing to do. We have to decorate our gingerbread man, and then we'll be done. All right, we've got our gingerbread man decorated. Now you can either put him down at the bottom if you want. You could put him coming off the roof. I'm gonna put him right here like he is about to go into my gingerbread house. So I'm just gonna add a little glue right at the end of my candy cane trim. and put him right there. Okay, now what's left to do is let this completely dry. The part that's gonna take the longest to dry is your dimensional craft paste. So give it a few hours until it's dry. And then at the end, we're gonna go ahead and add our fast finish decoupage, which is going to weatherproof it. And then we'll also add the twine to hang it on our front door. All right, time to wait. And while we wait, we're gonna get started on our next project. All right, we are on to our third and final holiday door hanger. So for this one, super simple. So if you're looking for something easy, this one is great. We are going to make a stack of holiday gifts. So I created the template for you. So you can download this template along with the 9 other templates we're giving you to create year-round door hangers. So once you print out your template, I've got them numbered. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets of paper. Lay them out, tape them together, cut them out, lay this on top of your foam board and use a pencil to trace it, and then of course, use your box cutter to cut it out. So since this is our last one, you've kind of seen some of the techniques as far as painting goes, and you've seen that really the first step that we always do is we paint the base, right? So I went ahead and got a jump start on that, and I painted the base of my presents. So now, with that template, you'll notice that the 3 presents were stacked together. If you want your presents to be uniform in one line, you do not have to cut them into separate pieces. But I want mine to be topsy-turvy. So I painted my bottom one green, my middle one white, and my top one red. And so I'm gonna put them kind of at an angle. So it almost looks like they're balancing on one another. And can lay that out. I'll scoot this up so you guys can see a little better. All right, so lay them out however you'd like to stack them. It is up to you. Once you get them how you want them, grab some glue. So I am using hot glue. You can use hot glue or industrial glue. Remember, the rule is if your door gets sunlight, a lot of sunlight, don't use hot glue, use industrial glue. Because what happens is that sun will reactivate your glue and it will not work. So that is the rule. So set this guy in here and I'm gonna glue the bottom one on. All right, so I'm gonna mix up some different colors. Right now I've got white, red, green, and gold, but I want to go ahead and make a lighter shade of my green. So I'm gonna put some of it in the little palette well next to it. And then same thing with my red. I'm gonna do just slight tinge because I don't want it to be pink. So just a little bit over here. And then I'm gonna take some of my white. And so with my white, I'm actually just gonna put it on the edge next to that palette so I don't mix this white brush in there, and then I can scoop it in. Same thing, we'll put just a little bit right there. And then I'm gonna mix those up till I get the colors that I want. All right, and so for this one I did a little bit differently. I glued my presents together because I wanted to see what the design look like next to each other when I do each present, but it's up to you. You can paint them before you glue them together. So I'm gonna do some diagonal lines. And again, what I love about this is they don't have to be perfect, right? This has almost like a cartoon-esque look to these. So you don't have to be a perfect crafter. You don't have to make perfect straight lines because I clearly don't, and it still comes out super cute. Okay, so for our white box, we're gonna do polka dots. And on our top package, we're just gonna do regular old stripes. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my puffy paint and add some fun details. All right, so our last steps to complete this guy is to let him dry. And then once he's dry, we're gonna go ahead and put our decoupage on, and we're gonna add a ribbon to the top, and we're gonna add some pom-pom trim. All right, let's let this dry, and then we'll be ready to finish all 3. All right, so to finish our Christmas tree hanger, we're going to paint on Fast Finish Decoupage by Beacon. Now, I prefer this because I like the gloss finish it leaves and it dries quickly, but you can use any decoupage that you have at home. There's a bunch of different brands that are great, and you can select the finish that you like as well. So especially on the glitter, we're gonna paint that to seal in that glitter. And this is also the element that's going to weatherproof our sign. So make sure that you also do paint it on the edges so that helps seal it from any of the elements outside. I also went ahead and glued a piece of twine on the back that is going to be my door hanger. You can use any string or ribbon that is sturdy enough to hold your sign. You may also need to paint a coat of the decoupage on the back of your sign if your door is really exposed to the elements. And if you are hanging this indoors, you don't have to put any finish on it. It's up to you. This is to weatherproof it, but you can always add that decoupage if you do want a nice gloss or matte finish. All right, I'm gonna let this dry and let's weatherproof and decoupage our other two signs. So I've got two scrap pieces of holiday themed ribbon here that I found in the bottom of my Christmas bucket, but you can pick up some holiday ribbon at any of the craft stores now. And so I'm just lining up these two ribbons on top of each other, and we're gonna make loops. So we're just gonna do 2 loops on each side over each other. Make sure that our ribbon is the way we want it, and then I'm gonna take a pipe cleaner and I'm gonna use my pipe cleaner to secure it. So I'm just wrapping my pipe cleaner around, and then I will twist it in the back, just like that, and you can kind of hold it out, and then you can always trim your pipe cleaner. This is gonna be the bow that goes on the top of our present boxes. So we'll fluff our bow, and then I'm gonna wait to trim the ends until I put it on so I can see how long I want my tails to be. But just like that, we have an easy, cute ribbon. This is fast finish, so it dries super quick. So our last step, we are gonna add some trim in between our packages. All right, are you guys ready for the big reveal to see all 3 signs together? So we've got our Christmas tree. We also have our gingerbread house. And we've got our present stack. All right, I want to know which one is your favorite. Let me know. I'm not sure. I think I'm leaning towards the gingerbread house being my favorite. All right, so thank you so much for attending my session at Holiday Maker Fest. I had a blast crafting with you, and I hope I inspired you. So a couple reminders. Guess what? I've got the templates to make this really easy for you to create all 3 of these or your favorite one at home. So follow the link on the screen. You can download the templates for these. All I ask is that you subscribe to our newsletter. I promise no spam and no Pinterest fails. And along with subscribing to that, you not only get the 3 templates for these, but we've got a total of 10 templates. How awesome is that? So to make things to keep your front door fresh the whole year round, from an ice cream cone to a watermelon, a popsicle, an apple, a cactus, a mason jar, maybe even a llama, you'll see when you download them, but I've got the instructions and templates to make it easy. Who knows, you could pick up a new hobby. Thank you so much for crafting with me. A couple reminders. Make sure you follow CraftBox Girls. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook at CraftBox Girls. And you can also check out more easy projects for the whole family. So I not only create things like front door decor for you, but I also have tons of kids' crafts, so you can keep your kids busy and inspire creativity with them as well. So we make crafting easy and fun for the whole family. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Hope you enjoy the rest of your time crafting at Holiday Maker Fest. I'm Lynn Lilly with CraftBox Girls. Have a happy holiday, and I hope to see you at our CraftBox Girls community in our newsletter and on social. Bye guys, happy holidays.